Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and today we have a live training. You can listen to it here over on the podcast, or if you want to actually see the demo, you can go over to our YouTube channel, Super Brand Publishing. Tracy Hazzard is going to be demoing, and we'll give you the opportunity to be one of the beta people on this project. If you go over, you'll find the URLs in the show notes to be able to partake in this. She's going to be demoing a program called Brand Identifier, another one called Brand Voice Printer, and a third one called Brand Social Writer. And these are really exciting for people who already have somewhat of a platform, but need some hooks, need some competitive edge. And we're going to be actually using these programs as the lead in to our Perfect Reader playbook, because the more precise your answers are, the better book marketing plan you're going to get. So please stay tuned for Tracy. So welcome today. I'm really excited to have Tracy Hazzard, who's a seasoned media expert with over 2,600 interviews from articles in Authority Magazine, BuzzFeed, and her Inc. magazine column from her multiple top-ranked videocasts and podcasts like The Binge Factor and Feed Your Brand, one of CIO's top 26 entrepreneur podcasts. Tracy brings diverse views from what works and what doesn't in marketing, branding, and media from thought leaders and industry icons, redefining success around the globe. Tracy's unique gift to the podcasting, marketing, and branding world is being able to identify that unique bingeable factor, the thing that makes people come back again and again and listen actively and share as raving fans and buy everything you have to sell. So welcome, Tracy. And before you get started, I forgot to say, welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. So this will be made into a podcast in April, but I guess I forgot to be the proper host. So what do you expect from me?
Might have to do something interesting and cut off at the demo.
Yeah,
we might. So you can do some more lead capture that way. It's like, you want to see the demo, go to the private, right? So these are some of the things that we want to do to like kind of get people deeper into our content in whatever way. And that is actually what we're going to work on today. So Thank you, Juliette, for having me. I always love that Juliette is up for something new, and I have never shown. I've done this and I share it with clients all the time, but I have never shown this to anyone. So you guys are the first to see the front-facing part of this, the part that I use behind the scenes all the time to support my clients in making sure that they have consistent and constant content, and that content sells their stuff, sells your books, right? Isn't that our ultimate goal here? So I've got a little presentation for you, and then I'm going to demo. So you'll get to see exactly how it works. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, can you guys see that? Hopefully you're seeing the author voice print. Of course, I renamed it since I gave you guys the webinar, but here you go. So the author voice print is really a way to take that beautiful voice that you've created, that spoken soul, that what you've created within your book, within the messaging, within your businesses, the brand that you know people are already attracted to. It takes that and it matches it with competitive people who already have audiences out there and finds the alignment for you in your messaging so that you can post on social, you can create new content, you can do videos, you can do whatever type of content you want, does not matter. But the idea is that it's capturing you and your brand and just taking it that edge up to making sure that that message is hitting the right people at the right time. So I know a lot of you have written your book, and I hear this all the time, you know, especially from second, third time authors. They're like, writing the book's the easy part. The hard part is getting the message out and getting that book sold. So I know that's why here on Promote, Profit, Publish, we try to promote first, right? So these things are all things that you can do before you've written the book. Everything we're going to talk about, you can do to align, to make sure they're aligned with the book that you're going to sell. That's what we're doing here today. There you go. So a lot of authors I find are caught up in the work that they're doing, right? It's same thing with podcasters, right? I have a day job. I have a regular business. Podcasting is my side gig. That's the way authors are. You guys have a normal business. You have some other mission. The book is meant to supplement that. The authorhood is meant to supplement that. So you're really busy with all of that. You don't always have time to do all the marketing and sharing that you want to, especially on social media, which feels really, really overwhelming. So we have things like writer's block where we just hate the social media, or the type, I don't love TikTok, right? So do I really want to get on another video camera and do whatever I got to do in 30 seconds? No, I like the long form book, right? So sometimes things don't feel aligned and we get a block because of it. We feel like what we're about doesn't come through. But there's a lot of our readers. There's a huge book talk out there that is going on looking for your books. So we've got to be in all those places to reach the right audiences. But we don't have to completely emulate what other people are doing out there. We can still have our own brand and our own message, just packaging it with a little bit of an edge, with a little different way, so that it works out there. And we're going to use AI to do that because that's kind of exhausting. It's really hard to fill that content void when you don't feel capable, when you don't feel confident about what you're putting through. And a lot of us hire marketing agencies, and I am all for it. Absolutely, because that's what I am, right? I'm an agency. So I'm all for it. But if at the end of the day, yours sounds like everybody else's, if the VA you hire to save you time is completely ineffective, that management of it, that money spent, is unfortunate. It's not getting you anywhere, and it's not moving the needle for you. So really want to look at how can we make those things even more effective by giving it a structured use of AI and asking them to be able to use the tools, use the model. And that's what we're creating here as a model. So what we're really saying is that your brand is not your book. It is not your business. It is not your products. Your voice is your brand. And that could be a collective voice if you're a law firm. It could be a single voice if you're a solopreneur. But the voice, what you're saying, the message you're putting out there, and the style and tone in which you're doing it, that is your brand. Because your brand is not what you say it is, it's how it's perceived. It's how I hear that brand, because I'm the buyer. So if I don't hear it the same way that you think you're putting it out, it's not working. So how do we get that voice brand to sell your book and your business? That's what we're doing right now. And I know you feel this because you see all these authors out there, running all these kinds of social media things, and they're selling books, and you're thinking, what's wrong with mine? My book is better than that. My podcast is better than that. My business is better than that. Why is it not happening? And that's because the loudest, most recognizable ones win every single time. So we have to edge ourselves in there, and that's what we're going to build today. Here's how it works. We have 3 parts. We got to figure out who you are, how you sound, and what you say. And here's what I found. So I have been doing this for 3 years now. We started using AI in 2018. So we had a jump start on a lot of other people, but the sort of architecture underneath how to get your AI to work is my specialty. And we have a lot of data. So we produced over 1,500 different style podcasts, and different brands, and we made over 75,000 pieces of content. And when I say pieces of content, that's the core piece of content. We actually made like times 7 because we have made like 3 videos and 2 graphics and other things from it. So everything is built on this idea of how you connect the brand and the content together, everything that we've done. What I found is that if I ask my clients, if I ask you what your brand's about, who you are, you will lead that AI wrong every single time. You will give it a brand and a message that doesn't attract and doesn't engage on the other side. And that is, again, back to this thing about who you think you are, who you want to be, isn't necessarily what is being received on the other side. So what my system in my AI here is what we call the brand identifier, is it finds your foundation of where you are. Who do people think you are right now? with the content you're producing right now, with the market position you have right now, with the social media and consistency and constancy in that content that you're creating right now. That's where it starts from. And it compares that against your competitors and where they are right now. So that's step one. And we ask for so little information. We ask you for your website, your podcast, or your YouTube, or any of those, or all of those three. That's it. And from there, we do everything else to try to understand it. So there's lots of people out there that run these brand forums where you fill out the form and all of that. What I've found is that it will latch on, the AI that's behind it will latch on to what you say in that form, and everything that results from it is mirroring that. So it's giving you what you want to hear. That's why it's going wrong on the other side. So that's why we built this way. The second piece is how do you sound? Well, we are so lucky because we spend a lot of time on our voice and prints, we call it, but it's basically we analyzing how your podcast is going, how the audio is running, and what's the tone, what's the sound, what's the energy, what's the emotion. So we spent a lot of time on that for a bunch of other reasons. So we already have this. We call it the voice vibe. And but what we've been able to do is, with very little information, create a voice print, an identification of you that is accurate. So our AI identifies your voice very quickly and knows in its transcripts how to say who you are. So it won't get it wrong, because it not only knows the sound wave of your voice, but if you modulate, like I, get really excited at times and talk a lot faster, it's okay. It still knows it's you even later in the transcript, because it understands your style, your voice style over time. So because of that, we've been able to categorize that, and we call that the voice print, the voice fingerprint. And that leads to more valuable prompts, because it knows how to tap into the different aspects of your style and your sound and pull that out onto the other side of it and utilize it to create a social post that is angry, has intense energy, is snarky. So you have all of those different ways that you are, and that way you're not one tone. And that's what happens with a lot of other brand tones. When you program it in, it's just this little sentence that says, you're funny and sweet and, whatever it is. And that's what it's latching onto. And it's too narrow for the broadness of the content you might be creating. And then the third piece is, what do you say? What content? What are you promoting? What book, what chapter, what piece of topic? What is it that you want to go out there and say? And how do we match that to that tone? How do we give it that competitive edge so somebody will listen to you and not one of those competitors about that particular topic? That's what we want to do to create that audience engagement and the action. And in your case, I hope the action is buying books, right? So that's what we're doing here. And that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you all three pieces today. They've never been seen by the public before. So here's the first one. The first one is the brand identifier. It's your AI foundation. This is what gives you your unique space in the niche. It's finding it for you. But it's finding the most high-powered space, the space where you can own the territory that there is an audience for. And this is really key, is like, okay, I can find a niche and space for you. Anyone can find a category they can rank in podcasts, same thing in books. But are there any listeners there? Are there any readers there? Is there an audience for you there? That's what our AI is looking for. That's what it's going to be, so that you're not just an author, just another author. You have a lane of authorhood that you're owning. Then we're going to run it through the voice printer, and this is going to give it that little edge. It takes the spoken energy, your vibe, creates custom AI prompts. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to use these AI prompts in my system. You can, but you can go use them in Perplexity. You can go use them in any other system that you want to use. You can use these AI prompts and the guides, both the identifier and this voice printer guide. You can use both of them and plug them in as raw resources, and it will dramatically change the results that you get from the AI on the other side. And then I have my social writer. This is the part that we're working still on improving. So we've got it working for mostly LinkedIn right now, but we're working on tuning and creating a tune for every single social platform. So it's got the basics down to Instagram, for instance. It's not going to create a structure, a bad post, but we want it identified with the latest information about what's working on Instagram today, what's working in TikTok, what's working in LinkedIn. So we've got it dialed in LinkedIn because LinkedIn's really good about sharing what works and what doesn't. But the others, you get a lot of noise of people who think they know what they're talking about, and then it turns out to be something so programmatic that it actually fails. So we're brute force testing that behind the scenes. This is only going to get better and better. However, if you already know how to post on Instagram and you get an Instagram post and you say, I don't like to post these this long, you can cut it down. You're at least starting from the style and tone and the sound that is going to create better and audience action that comes out of it. So all the strategy and brand stuff we've given you goes in, and the scroll stopping social media posts come out. That's the idea. And there's one more beyond this that I don't have for you today, but there's actually an article writer that's going to be coming. We're actually going to talk about it later in the month, I think, right? Juliet, if I'm not wrong, I think we have our chapter program in the month, and the article writer is in that one as well. So this is what we're going to do. High voltage authority today. We're going to make sure that it's still unmistakably and unapologetically you. We're going to make sure your expertise is in there, your voice is in there, and then we're going to surge that to make sure your brand goes out there consistently and constantly and gives you what you need. So are you guys ready to see it in action? You guys want to do a hot seat and make sure everybody doesn't have any questions before we go hot seating?
Okay, so Christine Silverstein is going to be our hot seat today. And just a little background on why Christine's doing this. Christine is one of the most industrious authors I have ever seen. She wrote an entire parenting book. She has just turned it into a limited series podcast. Then she turned around and translated it to Arabic. And we have 1 month, I think, if the war doesn't go on, she's going to be speaking in Dubai, and we will have that Arabic podcast up and ranked for her when she gets to her keynote in Dubai. So this will be perfect for her today. Christine, you want to unmute? And thank you for doing this. I know she was hesitant.
So before we start, Christine, and I'm so excited to finally meet you because I've heard a lot about you, but does anyone have any questions or anything that they would like to make sure that I cover? Type them in the chat. I'll keep watching it and make sure that I point it out or address it as I go. Okay. Hey, Christine, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Okay, good. Now, all I needed from you was your website, which Juliet gave me ahead of time. But I want to understand what we're going to use this for. So if I've given you this guide for writing anything, where do you want to post? What is it that you want to accomplish with it?
Well, I have actually 2 websites. One is for my book, and one is for my clinical work.
Are they tied together?
Like they are, and Nate sitting here, he is coordinating them. He's
okay. I only have one of them. I have what was it called?
Ideal Performance.
Ideal Performance. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so that's the book one, I'm assuming, right?
No, that's Ideal Performance is my clinical, where I have my programs, and the other one I created just for my book, drchristinesilverstein.com. And that has all the information about the motivation of why I wrote my book, the chapters, the endorsements, videos, and things like that to promote my book. And it's also in Arabic, since I'm just releasing that now. But I developed that in the beginning. So I put everything in. It has the chapters. It has videos.
What is the name of that URL?
drchristinesilverstein.com.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run it through, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing at the time, so you can just kind of see how it works. So everyone else, you're going to get a chance to play with it too. But in this particular case, and I haven't done this in a while, so I'm hoping it doesn't crash on me. And if it does, we'll just start again. Don't worry. But I haven't given it 2 websites at once. I usually give it a website, but the book is like the book site is more like a content site. So I think it should still work. So usually I give it a YouTube channel or a podcast and the website, but I think this will still work. So we'll try it that way. So let me share the screen again for you. And so this is what the brand identifier looks like. If you have never used a gem, that's what these are called. This is in Google Gemini. We have a Google workspace in Podetize where every single employee is contained and all of their data is being accessed, indexed, searchable, not literally searchable. I'm not eavesdropping on every single one of my clients or anything like that. I'm not on my team or my clients at that point. But what it does is if I have questions or if there's a general sentiment or if there's any of those things, this AI is keeping that in a reservoir. And that's because we have chosen not to delete anything in the whole time that we've been using Gemini. And so we've been using Gemini. Now I'm on my 3rd year. So we're in the deep pro model of it as well. So this is the public facing one that you guys use when you use your Gmail. So what it does is it creates these Geminis, which I pin and I share with my team so that they can do them. So like we have a show name brainstormer that we all share. And it has all the history, because we're sharing it, has all the history of all the show names we've recognized and the ones that didn't get used, and it can recycle them again. And so it's really great because I don't have to keep it on paper and I don't have to think about it. I can go back here. We also do taglines for our Promocaster program, our Authorcaster program. So we have taglines all the time. We have a tagline generator and we're always refining it. So it's not dependent on one team member with the best prompt. It's actually revising the prompt from here. And so that's why this has come so far. So I'm going to put your websites, and all I got to do is copy them. And oops, there's too much in my window here. Hold on a second. Where was I? It's this one. So I've got something called Canvas on, and it's automatically on because it's going to give me a document at the end, and that's what I want. So I want it to use those two. So your brand is not what you say it is. It's what others say about you. What is your brand saying? Give us your website and podcast name to get started. That's all it says. That's all we want. Now it's going to run. Hopefully not going to crash that too. It's coming up. So does this sound accurate? Peak performance hypno coaching for high stakes resilience, mindful toughness,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Wrestling through adversity. So it's got that mixed in there. Okay, so this is just the basic. This is not really, this piece is the only piece we're going to use in the future. But this is just giving its own summary of the content message. So now it says, are you ready to explore your competitors? So let's go see what competitors it finds for you.
And I love this part because I would say 80% of the people who come to me do not know who their competitors are. And that's a problem.
Right. And I've designed it so it's giving you their website, their YouTube, and the podcast, so you can go check them out. But for our purposes here, we just need to find 3 on this list. So I've given you 3 podcasters, 3 YouTubers, and 3 bloggers. And remember, our goal here is the noisiest and most recognizable in that space, not the doctors that's down the street or the other real estate agents that you're competing against in your neighborhood. These are the online, the digital competitors that you have. So just keep that in mind. And our goal on this list is to find 3 of them. So let's pick one from the top. Are there any of those 3 that sound right for you? I take the time to check them out, but I don't want to do that right at this moment. We can come back and do it again because you're going to get to keep this document.
I think I'm familiar with the first one.
With the first one. Okay, so we're going to write 1 and then go down here to the YouTubers. Have you heard of any of these YouTubers? So I think we want to stay away from 3 because it's a note that they're a production house. So they're not really living the life they're talking about it.
Right.
So probably...
I think probably the first one.
By 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the bloggers, we have The Champion's Mind. He's got a book, so that's good. Sports hypnosis niche. Let's stay in that one. Why don't we do number 8?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're going to pick those 3 as your top. It has more to do with what we're doing when we do a content analysis than it does here, because you're going to get all 9 of these no matter what. So it's and the reason I'm saying this is because did we nail your competitive? If you didn't, we can swap one out. So like Juliet was like, that one's like too corporate. It's not going to work for me. I want to trace this person instead, or I want to follow this person. And so we just substituted them out. It went and refound it and had a different set of 9. So those are things you can do with this for all of you out there when we take a little more time with it, and you should. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're going to generate the document that comes from that. And the important part about this is that this is our brand identity basis. So this is it for you, and it's got those competitors all listed, and the top 3 are here, and then the other ones are listed here, and it tells you what's next. And it says, well, if you're ready for the content gap, and sometimes people are, you go straight to that, or we're going to go to the voice printer. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to save this out in a doc for you. Now, I'm going to just show you, because I did one already earlier. This is for a podcast called Weekend Crafting Adventures. She's going to revive it. And so it's formatted just a little bit differently because we were playing with things. So it was done a little earlier, but these are the 3 she chose. And so it's got the same kind of model. You're going to get the same order of things, no matter which way you push it. So you can see it here. Okay. So let's go on to our next step. What we're going to do is share this in our next step. So I want to do it. I want to make sure if you drop it in your drive, a lot of times it's not public. Make sure you make it a public link or it won't find it because we don't have access to your Google Drive. So that's what we're going to do here is we're going now to the voice printer. And it says, stop blending in and start profiting from a unique competitive voice. Use this voice printer to find your brand voice print to create custom AI prompts and keep your brand authority consistent. So what we're going to do is, and this is something I want everyone to remember to do if you're ever using Gemini, is use this plus sign and then add from the drive or upload files. Do it either way because then the document is able to be exactly seen, not summarized by, and a lot of times when you type in just a URL, it just knows the URL. It doesn't actually go to what's on it and read it. And that is the shortcoming of almost all the AIs. It has to do with some of their limitations and risking. So all we have to do is drop in our document here. So use the plus to drop in your document. So now it's analyzing this, and I have it set to actually go out to your websites and analyze your voice, go find some of your videos and really identify that. So it's checking out your voice influence. It's checking out your target audience. Does that sound about right? Mm-hmm. You spend as much time on the sidelines as in the therapy room. That's actually a really good, usually you might want to put that in your bio. That's really good. See, sometimes it comes up with something that's really good.
Well, I do work with sports, so that's the sidelines right there.
Yep, that's it. Yep. And then, so we're talking about your voice value. We talk about subconscious science of hypnotherapy with the blunt reality of performance. Reframed adversity, that's a really good thing nowadays. Architectural resilience, so building in mindful toughness, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's got this. Now, what it's giving you is the basics of the tone and writing style. There's a lot more underneath this, but this is just this top level summary of it for you, is what it thinks of your competitors. And so it's giving you where they fit so that it can find your competitive voice edge. Mm-hmm. And so and this might be wrong, and this is what we're going to fix right now, is we're going to decide if we like this. So it says, you are the one who enters the chaos of a high stakes environment and provides the blueprint for order. You aren't just a guide, you're the engineer of the mindful toughness framework. Mm-hmm. Your tone is one of urgent empathy. You acknowledge the wrestle because you've seen it, but you move immediately into the mechanics of the reframing. Use clinical terminology to validate the struggle and athletic terminology to execute the solution. This is what it's recommending for your sentence structure. You favor the pivot. Start with a short, heavy acknowledgement of a pain point, followed by a clinical why, and ending with a punchy, actionable now. You can start to hear the structure of how we're going to make those social posts. Your vocabulary: wrestling through adversity, reframing, mindful toughness, mental architect, competitive edge, subconscious reprogramming, high stakes. And your hook strategy is to confront the anxiety head on. Don't promise peace, promise the ability to thrive in pressure, and use the error as opportunity framework to grab attention. Does that sound right, or is there something you want to adjust?
I think it sounds
okay. You can always come back and do this again. What I just did here is it's somewhat static. And so, because when we use it on our end, we update it periodically. But you will have to go and do that. But you can come back. And so here's what it has done now. It's given you the prompt. Okay, so I can copy and paste this prompt into any AI that I might use to write social media posts. I can give this prompt to my assistants, my marketing firm. You should give the whole document to your marketing firm. But if it's just an assistant, give them this prompt, right? And output. And so this is customizable. You don't want to use it exactly as it's like, write a high impact piece of content. What kind of content do you want? A blog post, a podcast script, a LinkedIn post regarding whatever. Okay. It's regarding performance and anxiety. So regarding whatever it is you want to talk about, or regarding, and then we drop in what is the content piece, like, oh, I want to share this social media. I'll show you how this works in a minute. And then it reminds them of your role, and then you insert what you want to focus on. Because sometimes our chapters or our content is a little broader than we want it, and we want to narrow it and tell it what to focus on. So we would insert that here. So that's the input. You would give it the actual piece of content that you're sharing, if you're sharing a video or sharing a blog post, and then tell it where to focus. And then you set the tone and style. This is already in there from what we've done. And you don't need to do the best practices either, because we already have that. But you do want to give it the output format. So the output format would be an Instagram post or a LinkedIn post, right? An Instagram story.
I have a question. Under prompt 1, the primary brand. So in parentheses, it says the mental architect. So what is that saying? This is what it called you up here. Your voice type is the mental architect. So it gave you a name so that it goes back and refers to your competitive edge. Okay. It is not something that's going to say to the public. It's just giving it a guide to go back to back to the voice reference for all the details. So that AI is really good at categorizing everything, right? So it's creating a title so it can find you. Okay, I've been called worse.
Yeah, if you don't like it, that's what I was saying before. Like, we don't like this. We don't want to be called the mental architect. What would you rather be called?
Well, I think that's a good. I think that's good enough.
Oh, okay.
To say that I have been the architect of mindful toughness over many years' experience. So it does describe what other people have said about my work.
Okay. It's probably not going to ever use that unless it really is in reference to something it needs to use it. It's using it as its own internal categorization and title reference. So, and then it's categorized now each of the other styles. So if you want to get Gervais or Cohn, you want to get their readers, their listeners, their viewers, then you might need to adopt their tone to attract them. So it's giving you their tone here. So what happens is that if at any point you say, okay, I'm going to make 4 posts on LinkedIn on the same piece of content, the same article that I wrote. I'm going to write it first, introduce it, and tell my audience in my own voice and the way that I am that it's here and why they should read it. Then I'm going to have it rewrite that post, because you always want to make subsequent posts, right? Rewrite that post in this Gervais-inspired style, the philosophical mastery, and prompt 3, the tactical fix, and then the subconscious reprogrammer. This is what it's calling their style so that it can give it that tone and that category. So you can take the exact same article, the exact same topic, and flush it out in all of those and see which one resonates. Which one are you attracting the audience most from? Which one is really playing with your audience? Because maybe your core tone, while it's working, it's not changing the game enough for everybody. It's not mixing it up to attract new audience. It's working really well with your core, but we want to keep growing that, right?
Hi, I'm Dr. Christine's husband. A question about that.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you're going to take the same LinkedIn post, and then obviously going to adapt it for these other voices, and post it 2 or 3 more times, but it's basically the same content. So there's
same content posted again and again, because you do want to do that, right? You want to keep posting. So when we post a podcast, we recommend posting 7 days a week from the day that podcast came live. So that every day you're gaining new readers, but we want to take a new aspect on it, right? We want to gain new listeners, new viewers. So we want to address a different aspect, and this gives us an opportunity to do that. Now, we also mix it up with visual posts versus video posts versus written posts, right? Because we also want to attract the different types of modalities of learning. So we also do that in our recommendations. So that's why there's 4 prompts here, is because we want to use your 3 competitors that maybe have a tone and an edge that you don't. But these are viewers, listeners, readers that could be your clients, could be your book buyers. So now that we're done with this, I'm going to create that document for you.
I'm sorry. One other point thing to point out is that the competitors that you listed seem to be oriented towards sports issues. Christine reaches far beyond sports. She encompasses a wide range of subject material.
Nurse, I work with healthcare and other programs.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's where at the beginning of this is why I say I'm giving you this right now, because we're doing it really quickly as a demo here, but you want to spend some time on this. You want to spend some time reading what it wrote and telling it where it's wrong. But you also don't want to go too far. Like you say, oh, all of your competitors, there's too many sports competitors. I want also, healthcare. Healthcare. I want more. I want more of those that support the Arabic and Muslim community, right? Like you want that. So it'll go back and it'll revise its list to 9. You can have it do it until you get to the right list you want. So tell it, keep these 3 and go find me 6 new ones that are in these areas. And it'll go back and it'll find it. Every time I run it, it actually gives me a different set of 9. It's quirky like that. So yes, you should refine it, and you should do that not as fast as we're doing it here. It will still work here, but it's not as good if you don't have your own input into it, right? And so, but don't change too much. Like if you don't like the word architectural, don't just change the word. Tell it, I don't really like architectural. It doesn't have the same feel that, it doesn't have a nurturing feel. It feels too overly structured. Tell it why you don't like it. And then it'll go back and then say, can you revise the document to remove that and put in something different? And it'll ask you, how's this? And then you say, yeah, that's it. And it'll revise the document for you. Because right now what we're in this is called the canvas space. So it's drafting that document for you. It's got it all sort of mapped out and ready to go. But if you don't like something, this is the perfect time for you to make changes. I'm not going to, because I don't want to take more time. I want to make sure we get to the social media posting side of things. So, but this is where you would do that. Okay. And so again, here, for once you're done with it and you're happy with it, you can say you're done, or what you want to do is really export to docs and get yourself another doc here, because we need these 2 docs as we go forward. And I will share these with you. Do not worry. But you can also create your own again. Okay. So, this is what the one for the other weekend crafting adventures look like. You can see there's your AI voice print. Stop making cookie cutter posts and create content dripping with your brand personality. What a great way to say it. For some reason, this formatting is a little funky, but it doesn't matter, because when you're dropping it in, let me see what yours looks like, because I was trying to repair it last night. The way we use it on our end, it's at least got rid of the highlight. So the way we use it on our end before we give it to anyone is we see how it says insert that. We highlight them, make it yellow like this. And so that they know that's where they insert stuff. And so we make it really clear, insert here. I know how to insert, so I know what I'm doing there, but that's kind of its model. So let's see. The last piece is this one. So our brand social writers. So what I need to do is make sure that I add those files here. Okay. I want to add them from the drive. This should be the one for you. I got to make sure. Yeah, that's the other one. Okay, so now I've inserted both those files here. Now I'm going to write a prompt, and here's the prompt that I wrote, just so you can see it. I kind of wrote it out this way for WCA, which were Weekend Crafting Adventures. So add your documents. Those were hers, and this is your write a prompt for an Instagram post using this content, link to the content, and make the audience want to. This is it. So we're going to do this. I'm going to write this with you right now. So what is it we want to write? It doesn't have to be amazing. We're not going to publish it. So,
what is it that I want to write about?
You want to write a LinkedIn post maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to write a LinkedIn post using what piece of content from your website that I can go grab right now, like an article. It doesn't have to be anything, recent. It can be from old too. You can just drop the link in the chat and I'll take it from there.
Can you use a YouTube video there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was going to say, I can grab one of your blog posts, Christine, if you'd like.
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
I'll just grab your latest one.
Okay, perfect.
I just dropped it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Let me using this content and make the audience want to. What do you want them to do? Check out. How about check out the book page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to my book page. And that is your book site is this one, Dr. Christine. Okay. So this is what we're going to use as we go forward now. So we've got this and we're going to ask it to do this. So I just drop it in. So write a prompt for a LinkedIn post using this content and make the audience want to go to my book page. Okay. Super simple. That's all I'm asking it to because it already has all the information about how to write a good LinkedIn post. It already has all the information now attached to these two, and it's instructed to use those and to use the guide.
Tracy,
and it's going to now ask you. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? So you have those other 3 competitor profiles. Can she drop those in as well and say, write me a post like this for all of these?
Yeah, so what it's doing right now is that it's going through all of those because they're in the document.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so it's now going to ask you questions, and this is the questions that it's asking you, and it may ask you and say, hey, I think you should write like this persona because it mirrors and matches the audience that you want for this article better. So sometimes it's going to tell you which one to use, and others you can tell it to use all of them. So it says, what type of post or content do you want me to write? A personal reflection, a professional lesson learned, a bold call out. So what kind of LinkedIn post do you want?
Could you repeat that?
So it's just asking for the type of LinkedIn post because there's different types, like a personal reflection. You can have a professional lesson learned.
Professional lesson learned, I guess.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because some of my competitors don't have the credentials I have.
You do. Okay, great.
I always support the professional working against, especially in the field of hypnotherapy.
Perfect. Okay, good. And then what content type, are there specific points from their story or mindful toughness? Is there anything you want to highlight? Because this is about a Olympic comeback. Is there anything you want to highlight, like a specific, and you can just pick a word or phrase?
Yes. Well, she had this negative experience of fractures of her leg, and she went to the Olympics. She just wanted to be happy. She just wanted to be there and enjoy and have gratitude in her heart. And she won 2 gold medals. So, and that's after injury just 8 months prior.
About this, so turning pain into happiness and success. Like
yes,
keep it
and
simple.
success, and that she was able to achieve success.
Okay. And then number 3, what action or response? You mentioned the book pages, but there's a specific feeling or aha moment you want them to have before they click. So it's probably going to say something like, if this makes you feel like this, then click here, right? So that's what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe if this makes you feel inspired, click here.
Yeah. Let's put inspired. Okay. Let's see what it does from that. Now, remember, you really only have to do this part once if you're writing in all the different styles because it's going to give you. So it's using the primary brand because your voice is more pro, right? Because that's what you asked for. Mm-hmm. And so is it okay if I proceed with that voice style? And is there any hashtags or no-go words? So you don't have anything like that, I'm sure. We'll do, you can always, sometimes people have hashtag lists that they're working from. You can drop that in here too. Or sometimes they have no-go lists because they don't want to, mix things like supplements or guns or negative keywords, right? They don't want any of that in their posts. Some brands require that. So this is a place for that if you need it. So okay with that style.
You could use really overused words as well, couldn't you? Because when I was writing my latest book, we didn't use transformation because everybody talks about transformation.
Right. So here it is. So it's written this, and while I've applied your voice print, it's essential that you fact check all details to make sure it's accurate and that you're proud to share it, because the human eye is the final guard against brand damage. That's my disclaimer. So here's it. It says, wrestle is the raw material. Most people see a slump as a sign to stop. I see it as a structural misalignment in the subconscious. Look at Federica. After 2018 Olympics, she didn't hit a wall. She hit a psychological plateau. The physical talent was there, but the mental machinery was jammed. She was wrestling with the pressures of her own success. In my work with elite athletes and high-stakes executives, I see this constantly. We call it pain. But in the mental toughness, and put your registered trademark in, framework, we reframe that pain as high-octane fuel. The pro lesson. You don't find happiness by avoiding the struggle. You find it by redesigning your internal blueprint to handle the struggle. You might want to bold that. Frederica didn't just get lucky in her comeback. She integrated her mind, body, and spirit to turn that mid-career anxiety into a competitive edge. She stopped fighting the pressure and started using it as leverage. And so it's then, if you are currently feeling the friction of a plateau, remember an error is just the raw material for a redesign. I break down the exact architecture of resilience in my book. Here, you can find it here. See, look how nicely it highlighted that. And it gave you hashtags. I don't always use hashtags personally in LinkedIn. Some people do. It's up to you. So there's a bunch of stuff that I don't do in my LinkedIn. This is your choice, and it's a guide that you can give it. So you can also add, when you're putting in the documents here, you can add any guides that you have. So like I have a guide for my VA. I do not use emojis. This is okay for me personally, but I do not use emojis. It is not a part of my personality. I'm not that young, and I'm much more serious than that in everything that I write. So that's my choice, right? So you can have some of those things, and you can actually go back to it, and you can say, hey, take out this, take out the quotes. I don't like quotes. And you can tell it to do that, and then start adding that to your brand voice. So you can go back to your document and say, don't use emojis, don't use quotations. So you can, start to refine it so that you don't have to ask it to do this again and again. You can add it to your own voice print. That's why you have the document to begin with. So would you like me to repurpose this into a reel script? They're talking about Instagram, a newsletter blurb using the same vibe, a series of posts that you can promote across the content. So I'm going to do that here because I want to turn this same message.
Can I ask a quick question at this point?
Series. Yep. Just one sec. Using all the competitive voices. I want you to see what they look like, what they sound like. Okay. I always say, please. Go ahead. What was your question? Okay.
Now the basis for this creation by AI was the actual post that Christine put in LinkedIn. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. No, well, the exact post you gave me the link to.
Yeah.
So basically it read it. Extracted the basic ideas that are integral to Christine's ideas and then restructured that into this post.
Right. And
so
what we did was
from scratch and make something up on the phone.
And keep in mind here, we didn't ask it as its call to action to go read that post. We could have. I didn't ask it here because I know you're selling your book and you're promoting your book, right? So we wanted to tie content you've already done. Stuff you already are an expert in. We don't want to figure out what we want to write our social media posts in if we've got, I literally have 800 blog posts. So I've got plenty of content to choose from that resonate with my target audience. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to repackage it. So that's what we did here is we took it and used it to help sell the book. We took something older and help sell the book, right? So I don't know why it didn't keep your link to the book pages in. Sometimes you have to remind it the stuff. But you're going to have this in a document. So I can take this, it regenerated the first one again. So you can see this would be post 1. That's the one that we already just saw, right? Post 2, post 3 is the subconscious reprogrammer. So it's giving you the sign. Your brain is running an outdated OS. That may not be something you say, but it certainly might be something that us technical people in LinkedIn might react to. That's why this is so important. It's still what your message. It's just framed differently, right? And it's giving you that edge to try to reach that. And now you may find that as you're doing this, the urgent empath here, this one resonates with and gets more engagement than the other. So then you want to use it more, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I could reach out to the technical people, because that's the way they think, but I also have an audience, a spiritual audience, who's open to what I say, but they may not be particularly open to the technical aspects because it's not how they think. So I think that's important.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So we're going to copy this or export that to Docs. And I like to export to Docs. That way I can play with it a little bit, or I can hand it off to my assistant and say, okay, here's the starting point, work from here. And you've already made your changes to it. Hold on. I got to open my doc. So this is what it looks like in the doc. And so I would usually just do this and then, and say, this is like week, whatever that I'm running this in. And then because we usually post 7, we might add 2. I might add, instead of sharing the link to the book page here, maybe I'd sent a link to the video, to my video that I have on my book page or something like that, or give them a manual, right? Give them a call to action. So you might want to change your call to action on each of these. It's totally up to you, but you definitely want to read these, fix these. Now, note it didn't keep your hashtags that we had before. So if you wanted them and you said, oh, I need those, you can go back. It seems to only, I don't know why, but it's only generates them the first time because you would use them again, right? I missed them. Here you go. So you might want to go back in and put them in so you have them. So that's it in a nutshell. You can keep using it. Like it's asking you, do you want to generate a series of posts? Now down here, it's asking you if you want to make a 7-day email nurture sequence. Some of these things I have not vetted. I will just say it's supposed to stick to social media types and not deviate, but sometimes it goes a little wild and it generates something that I didn't think it would. And it usually does actually a fairly good job, but only if you're using it in your environment. So if I tried to write a 7-day email nurture sequence here, it's going to sound like me, not you. Even though I've asked it to write in your tone, it's going to follow the way I always write an email sequence, not the way you write it. So that's why you have to use these things in your own environment, in your own AI. So remember, you can use this in ChatGPT, you can use it in Perplexity, you can use it anywhere. It works exactly the same way. It's just not for your guides, but it won't have, without using my gem that I've got here, it won't have the understanding of the social media platforms built underneath it. So it will have what Perplexity thinks an Instagram post should be. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you is this. So let's say you now need to know, what other articles do I need to write? What other things should I do? I'm going to actually just use this with the WCA podcast because it's already programmed in here. And I want to make sure it doesn't give you false ideas because we didn't refine your competitors tightly. So I don't want to confuse you with that. So we're going to do it for another demo. So this content gap analyzer is to decide, based on the website, what else is missing based on the website and these competitors. So I specifically selected the blog competitors because that's what I wanted. And I dropped in her niche that came off the identifier document. So all of this came from the very first document, and you could go and run this. So this one is what eventually all of these brand guides will look like this. And so you could use it from anywhere. And that way you don't have to worry about whether or not it's following my rules or your rules. So it is going out and it is tracking all of those sites and making a determination to build you basically a 30-day content plan. But that 30 days is based on your pace of content production. So some people will have more ideas than others. Does that make sense? Like, I'm a prolific content producer. I produce at least a piece of content a day. Kimberly here probably produced one a week. So she's going to have a slightly slower pace. It takes a little while. We really forced it to deep dive into the content in the blogs, build an SEO list, compare it to the niche, the voice, all the other things that we have running from the brand identifier side. It's actually already built in here. So
this is cool. Tracy, what I love,
we're waiting.
Yeah. What I love about this is we have all these courses out here that tell you how to do content, that how to write copy, how to put your, all of these things, how to put courses together. And they're all very generalized. This is really personalized. And that's the gap people have when they take a course or they learn how to do this, is somebody's giving them a blueprint, but they don't know how to translate their own brand into that blueprint. So this takes it from, I'm not getting the gap there, to now I have help and everything is resonating.
Right. So what we do for everything, Juliet, is take that brand identifier guide, the brand voice print, and we drop them in everything we ask it for. So they're always on a basis. So in our portal, for instance, this is what the future portal. So the portal where you publish your podcast, it is going to have within the next, I'm going to fingers crossed 4 months. Okay. But it is going to have the ability to, where it's got this guide, it updates it all the time based on your new content. So if your voice shifts over time, like you're getting more adamant, you're getting more intense, it's going to shift the tone so that everything keeps reflecting that. So it's adjusting itself. That's the agenic side of it, of what we have going on, is that it's always looking at that. But these brand guides are in there and they're updating on a monthly basis and keeping themselves current for you. And they're also continually scanning your competitors that have been selected and seeing if they stop podcasting, for instance, they're gone, they're off the list, and we're going to go to some new ones that might have emerged. So it's also adjusting them as well. And then what it's doing is analyzing a content gap for you. So every time you publish a podcast, it's going to suggest your next one, and it's going to be highly focused in your niche with an outline of what you should talk about to compete. Sound cool, right? So this is the executive summary of what it tells you. I mean, this is a deep dive. So this is a research paper, if you want to think of it that way, that is giving a content gap analyzer. And it's giving an executive summary, what the competitors cover that she doesn't. These are recommended post titles and podcast titles that she might not have done. They may not fit her model because she's exclusively cricket, but she might be able to go, oh, coasters. I've never done coasters before. Instead of making resin ones, what if I made cricket ones? So she could be thinking, it could give her ideas. Unique strengths where you win, unique angle, blue ocean opportunities. See, it's giving you a lot of different things. So here's her 4-week plan. Plant your flag, create a foundational crafter's lifestyle piece. Launch an expedition where you do, in this case, it's a project. Create your business of craft piece. So the business is she doesn't deal with the business. She does with sort of home crafters. So that would be her blue ocean, is to step in the business side and start to sell these pieces and reinforce your expertise. So now she's starting to cover things, and it keeps doing this. And then next month, she can run it again and get her next niche for the next 4 episodes. And so it's also giving you quick wins of things to post on Instagram, Tough Love podcast intro, the Gear I Use page on your website, which is a great idea. So this is Tom's sister, by the way. So Kimberly. And so I'm going to suggest this to her. She and I are actually going to restart this podcast together. Because she doesn't want to post. She doesn't want to do it every month. And she wants to broaden it. And so we're going to broaden it with cricket and embroidery, because that's what I do. And I'm going to do 1 a month. So we both don't have to work that hard. So anyway, this is the idea of what you'd get. And so you can save this out and utilize this. I think the save button is still missing here. Hold on. I may have gone too fast. Did I miss it? export to Google Doc. Oh, it's not called save. That's why. So, and you've already given your email address here, so our team follows up. But this creates the Google Doc that you can then save. You can also use it to dive into, to investigate, to plan an episode when you're ready to plan that. So that's there as well. So and this is what that looks like. So I can't get the other ones to put this in yet from the gem. We're working on that. So that's it. That's how it works.
I have one question.
Sure.
I have recently joined some book clubs, and their main objective is to look at my book and to dive into it and to have emotional engagement. Is there something I can say to AI about that I want to reach people through emotional engagement, or just direct it like that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So when you were creating the brand identifier, say, yeah, you've got my audience right now. You understand me, but I'm working towards being a resource for the Arabic community and having this other aspect of it. I want to highlight those, and I want to do more of that going forward. And then it'll incorporate it into your brand identifier, and it'll incorporate it into the voice guide when you go to the next step. So make sure you do it back at the beginning and select your competitors smart, so that they are reflecting that kind of audience as well. That the ones who already have that kind of audience are the perfect ones to add there. So if you don't see them on the list that we generated and you know who they are out there, like you've been following them on Instagram, then add them in. Okay, so I am going to give you all the guides. This should be the brand identifier Gem and Gemini. And this next one.
Let's see. Tracy, can I put this in the show notes?
So actually, hold on a second, because I think I may have just, hold on. Let me redo that. I may have just, I just shared, so ignore this one, delete that one. Hold on. Do this one. This gives you, because that just gives you the one for Christine.
Oh, okay. No, we don't all run.
This gives you the gem. You want the gem, not Christine's. So not that I will give you, Christina. I will have Juliet email you all the documents and everything in one concise email, so you'll have it all together. Because I didn't delete those, but they're obviously in my drive. So and
so you guys can use this on your book, your business, your podcast. All of it together. We just released the Perfect Reader Playbook on March 3rd, and the report that goes with that. We're going to start having you run this first, because the more clarity you have on this, the better report you're going to get from the Perfect Reader Playbook. And the Perfect Reader Playbook is about a 2-year book marketing plan that is generated. So this is going to give you a lot of clarity around, is your brand what people think your brand is? Because we always have that perception, that gap. Perception is reality. It's not what we think our brand is. It's what our audience thinks our brand is. So the more clarity we can get there, the better plan we can get for our book or our business or a combination of them. Tracy, are you keeping this in beta for a while? I know you're going to charge it some point. So,
and yes, I am. But this is absolutely free. You guys can use it. And this is the content gap analyzer.
Yeah, I would definitely take advantage of this, and since you're going to be her beta crew.
Yeah. So if at any time they move or they are not there, just email me. So it's just reach out to Juliet or to me, and we'll get you to where they are currently located. It just means they probably went to the front-facing app, and so it should be easy. So our brand, so just to give you an idea of how you might be able to do this, is that this is kind of an ongoing AI trend, is to create what these are called micro SaaS, micro AI SaaS, and that create them like you would create a in Scott Carson's world, they would have created a mortgage calculator, right? You created this calculator that somebody uses, right? Well, you're creating micro SaaS, and that micro SaaS is being used to draw people in as your lead generator. So my identity one, the identifier one, is our lead generator. So that one will always be free.
Oh, great. Any questions before we log out here? We did go long. I apologize, you guys, but hopefully it was worth it to see, you know what, this is such a time saver. So many of us go to classes like, what is our brand? We get a coach. It's expensive. A lot of times they don't understand us. They don't get it right. And now we're often trying to build something that doesn't align with who we are and what we're doing. So this is going to nail it for you and take all of that out of the way, so you're not paying coaches an enormous amount of money to do this work.
And don't agonize over it. This is what I want you to know. It's a dynamic piece. You can go back and run it again, right? You can even give it the old one and say, I want to revise this and get it more updated. So you can even drop that back in and it will work in my system. So spend about, I'd say, an hour total. Just cut your time off, because you will make too many changes and it will not work as well as at finding those edges and that uniqueness.
So you're going to want feedback from us about how it's working or what we're doing? Or
You're absolutely, please let me know if you run into a glitch, if something's not working, if you want something else that I didn't give you, let me know what it is. It's like, hey, I'd really love it if I'm adding visuals in the future. So the one you're going to be able to do is do a visual brand guide so that you could create better graphics. So like that's coming next. So just let me know if you want new features, or, it's not working for you. Let me know what we could do, and we could try to, I could try to sit down and nudge it for you, because I'm comfortable doing that all the time.
Do we have your email address?
She just dropped it in the chat there. So
yeah, it's Tracy at Podetize.com.
Super easy.
Okay, and how are we going to get all this information? You're going to put it up on Google Drive?
I'm going to send an email to Juliet, because I don't know if I have yours directly, but I'll send it to Juliet and she can copy you, and you'll see my email at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. One other question about voice. What's the term I had? Voice. Early on, you talked about voice identification. Is that a written voice, or is it an audible voice you're talking about, or both?
It's both. My system, because we process audio files, we've worked on an audio wave version of it that is unique, so that we can identify in our platform. We'll eventually be able to gate out AI podcasts, because we don't want them because of the advertisers that we take on our podcast platform. So we need to be able to screen out a non-human podcasts. And so, and identify them. So we built this to be able to do it. At the same time, because we transcribe everyone's episodes, we need to get the who spoke correct. Because the number one thing, if you've ever seen it happen, when you get a transcript back, my last name's Hazzard, and they always spell it with one Z. Even in YouTube, when my name is on the channel, they still spell it wrong in the transcript.
Right, because
they're not smart enough. And so what we've done is we tied the things so that it knows whose voice that is, and it has a voice profile of who that person is in the rest of our platform.
So was the idea, for example, with Christine, you're basically you're cloning her voice. Is that to produce voice content by AI for her?
No, it's not a clone. We can, I have an agent that sounds just like me. So we can create agents from that, but it's not to clone your voice so that you would do your own podcast. It's to make a chatbot that might talk about the book, to be able to answer questions. Like, my team uses my chatbot to find out what I think of something. So, yeah, so they'll ask, we call her Tracy 2, TOO. We'll ask Tracy 2, how should I write this email? And my customer service team will drop in the email that they wrote, and it'll say, how can we make this sound more like something Tracy would say? And it turns out exactly like it. So it's doing it only in written for that person, but it does, when the voice speaks, it sounds like me.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, you guys, thank you for stopping by, and let me know what you think of this, because I think it's a great tool for people. Doug is on here. I know Doug's daughter's trying to keep up with his social media. This might be a great way for Doug to have the social media done for him, and his daughter just posts. So take a little burden off her as well. So, all right, you guys, thank you. And if you missed this will be up on YouTube mid-April, and it'll be over, of course, on my podcast as well.
Will you provide your personal contact information, Tracy?
Juliet will get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. It's Tracy at Podetize.com.
But I'll make sure it's in the email too. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
you.